Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel. I don't have a welcome video for you because apparently Streamyard has changed their rules. They used to allow you to have a couple of videos stored on there, but now they're trying more and more to get people to pay for their premium plans. So now you have to pay. You have to be a premium member to do your intro video. So I don't know. Don't know what I'll do about that. Certainly not worth paying just to be able to show a video. So I'll see if there's some other services or, OBS is such a pain in the butt. I'd really rather not have to go through that, but I don't know. We'll see. See what happens next time. But sorry for the lack of video. I was going to show, though, the Consume Stories Responsibly video, because that's what tonight's all about. That's what I have to say. about consuming stories responsibly. So I, set the stream up, and as soon as I set the stream up, pinned a comment at the top. Poor Ghost Planet thought I was talking about him. I was like, no, this is just a pinned comment for everybody else. And then I took a nap, so I don't know. Hopefully, everything's been going well. I saw the chat was jumping. Sound Engraver's like, your chat's really jumping. I looked at it for a second, and I just saw that everybody was talking about Godzilla. I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. But I put in the comment, look, because this always happens. Every time I talk about the failure of modern storytelling and culture and how these franchises are dead because no one's, putting out anything good in them. And like a new movie will be coming out, and I'll talk about, look, this movie's crap. It doesn't even deserve to be seen. It doesn't deserve, and I go through and I'll read the synopsis of these films because I'm studying. This is freaking 2025, okay? Shut up with your garbage argument. I had to go see it to give it a chance. We're living 2025 right now. You can practically read the entire plot of the movie even before it comes out. You hear the director talking, all the little things that the director and the filmmakers and the actors say about the movie. You see way more than just a trailer. I mean, they show you practically the whole film now anyway before you even go see it. We are light years beyond the days when you really don't know what a movie's like unless you go see it. BS, okay? So don't give me that crap argument. And I'll talk about movies and how they're just garbage and people don't need to be going to support this and that. And then as soon as it comes out, people start rolling into my chat. This happened with a bunch of the Marvel stuff. Oh, you're so right, Professor. Just got back from seeing it. And oh my gosh, this happened and this happened. And this is what I think about this. And you're right about that. I don't give a crap what you think. You might as well just go fetch James Gunn his slippers tonight, okay? Because you are Team James Gunn. I don't care how much you think you hated this movie. You decided to give it money. You decided on opening weekend, no less, to be part of that take. You are part of the whole promotional package. You might as well be on James Gunn's payroll. You are his little man, and you're right there. You're pro this movie all the way, no matter what you want to say about it and how, well, really didn't like. I don't care. I don't care what you didn't like. You told me all I need to know when you decided to go see this movie. I just don't understand. What is it that people can't say no to new films? I mean, unless you really, okay, now look, if you really thought the movie was going to be great and you went to go see it and you liked it or whatever, I could not disagree with you more about everything fundamentally, but at least that makes sense, right? That makes sense. You're not somebody who thinks that storytelling is dead and you think these movies are going to be great and whatever. That's, but we're so far beyond this whole I need to give it a chance kind of thing. Just stop it. As I said, I predicted. I said this movie's going to do well because too many people won't be able to say no. They just won't. They won't be able to say no. But what's really interesting is there's this weird, like, these camps that are developing, and it's being sort of almost marketed as you're either pro this movie and anti Zack Snyder, or you're pro Zack Snyder and you're anti this movie. Can't we be anti both of them? They're both garbage takes on the character, And so I'm seeing a lot of people who don't really think that much of the movie, but they keep saying, but hey, at least it's hopeful. At least it's not deconstructing every, at least he's not, sad and everything like in the Zack Snyder movie, which I would argue, I read the plot synopsis. It's way more Zack Snyder like than anybody wants to admit. This is not Superman. This is, as I say in the thumbnail, this is Soy Man. He gets his ass handed to him every other moment. And again, I'm reading the script. The plot is everything. The synopsis is online. I even had to stomach a couple of reviews just to make sure I got all my little things right there. This is not Superman. And James Gunn was honest from the very start. A couple of reviewers are like, you can tell that James Gunn really does love the character, or you can tell that he really is, knowledgeable about the character and the lore in the comic books. We live in the age of the freaking internet. Give anybody an hour and a topic and they can be knowledgeable about the lore from the comics. Okay. So stop trying to play it that James Gunn is some longtime Superman fan and he's bringing his love of the character to this movie. BS. He was honest. He said from the get-go, Superman's not my character. He didn't even want to write the Superman movie. He didn't want to direct it. He didn't want to be any part of it. then I found my end. I found my end to the character, and then I was able to write it, and then I started to connect with it. And what was his end to the character? His end to the characters, he said, was Superman's conflict between his more aristocratic Kryptonian heritage and his Earth upbringing by the Kents. I don't know what character you think you're writing or talking about or trying to make a movie about, but that's not Superman. Superman has no inner conflict. Okay, now he does have a decision to make. Is he going to, which one is he going to align a little bit more towards? But there's no this bullcrap in the movie, because in the movie you find out that Jorel and Laura have sent Kal-El to Earth to conquer it. Go get lots of women pregnant and conquer them all, and take what's rightfully yours and all this nonsense. That's not Jorel. Now, and some people try to make this stupid argument again. I heard this so many times when I was pointing out all the things that were wrong with the Zack Snyder movies. Well, it happened in the comics. Well, it happened. Well, it is Smallville, and just because some stupid thing has happened before, how is that justification for it happening again? That's ridiculous. Do you know how many ridiculously stupid moves have happened in the comics throughout the years? So many, too many to count. A lot of boneheaded things have been done in comics or TV or whatever, and the audience has said, no, that's not what we want to keep. So the comics turned away from it, or the TV show turns away from it or whatever. Yeah, they tried this a little bit in Smallville, but then Jor-El meets young Jonathan Kent or whatever, he backs off it. It was a dumb misstep anyway to begin with, but they backed off of it really quickly. Then people are pointing to the stupid when Jor-El shows up as like Mr. Oz, like at the end of the Rebirth thing, which was a dumb move. This was when Dan DiDio is trying to just kill off Rebirth because he got back in, he got his hands back on the property, and he was going to darken everything up and bring in Bendis and make everything a crap show again, and which is what he did. So they brought that there. That doesn't make it okay. That is not Jor-El. Jor-El is a compassionate scientist. He's trying to save his people. He's trying to save Krypton, but no one will listen to him. It's Cassandra syndrome. No one will listen to him until the very end. In the moment it's too late, all he can do is send his son, at least. And he doesn't just send his son out to the stars to maybe go land on a planet. No, he finds Earth. He chooses Earth for a reason. He chooses Earth, he knows that there's the yellow sun. His son is going to be, well protected. He's not just sending him off to a bunch of cannibals or something like that. He also has studied the people of Earth. Jor-El is not just blindly sending Kal-El out to a planet. He studied the people of Earth, and he knows humanity wants to be better. There's the great quote. It's a great quote, and it's from the original Superman. I'll pull it up here because I was posting it on my social media and whatnot earlier this week. It's a wonderful quote, and this tells you everything you need to know about Jor-El. He says, "They can be a great people, Kal-El. They wish to be. They only lack the light to show them the way. For this reason, above all, their capacity for good, I have sent them you, my only son, so that Superman can come and lead us by example, leadership, lead us by example of greatness." This has always been, this is what the hope in Superman means. This is what the truth, justice in the American way means. No one's ever argued that Superman should be for like idiots who don't understand the character. Your Frank Millers and whatnot. They try and make Superman having to do the president's little tasks and be his little pet. That's never been the case. Superman is there to fight for the American way, which is not whatever an administration wants. It's what America was founded on, that American dream. That's what it is. It's not about politics. It doesn't get into individual politics or anything like that. He's not pro or anti-immigration or any of that garbage nonsense James Gunn wants to put into this nonsense. And Kal-El himself is not an immigrant. He's not a legal immigrant. He didn't decide he wanted to come into our country, but he didn't want to do it legally, so he came in anyway. No, stop saying Superman was an immigrant. Just leave all that garbage politics off. You don't understand the character and the purity of the archetype. Most of you know this because you know Superman, you know mythology, but as I just explained the origin of Superman, you hear some basic archetypes in there already. Jor-El and Lara putting Kal-El into a little rocket ship and blasting him off, sending him in the ship, out on the astral waves. This is Moses, baby Moses, being, trying to have his life saved as an infant, sliding down the Nile River. So you got that one And in Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel were Jewish, so you've got that aspect to it. You also have the Christ archetype. You can't get away from it, especially once you get the mythology developed a little bit, especially with the quote I just read you. Jorel saying, "For this reason I've sent them you, my only son." This is the Heavenly Father sending forth his only son to this earth to help them become better, to help them reach their potential. This is not a tyrant. This is not somebody who there's no conflict that Superman has to figure out. There's no, oh, but he says this. There's the really cool symbolic, I don't want to use terminology that'll get people distracted and off, but there's a really cool, I've explained it before in the original Superman 78 film. There was the great moment when he's going to turn back time, right? Because he knows he couldn't save everybody, he couldn't save Lois. And he hears the two voices in his head. He hears Jorel say it's forbidden to interfere with their history. And then he hears his father, Jonathan Kent's voice say, repeat what he said earlier in the movie. He said, "I do know one thing, you've been sent here for a reason." and that is Superman having to come to terms with, okay, I'm not an observer. I'm not just somebody who leads through my leadership. I am here. I am on Earth. He thinks of himself as a man, as a human being. So he is there to help and intercede for good when he can. So that's the decision he made, but you don't call that a conflict. That's just part of his character arc and his journey. James Gunn never understood the character of Superman. He never got this character. He saw a way to mold the character, to change the character of Superman into something that he could understand. And if you look at James Gunn's movies, it's so clear that the man has daddy issues. He does not understand what it means to be a man and what it means to be masculine. He is utterly castrated Superman in this movie. He really is the biggest wuss. Even Jonathan Kent is always crying in this movie, and he says something like, "I'm just a mushy old man," and this and that. And I'm sure James Gunn is just rubbing his nipples over that. See how he deconstructed gender norms? Ridiculous. Christopher Reeve knew how to play the character. And Christopher Reeve, he said that he wanted Superman to be an alternative from the more violent masculine heroes of the 80s, like your Rambos and your RoboCops and that kind of thing. He wanted them to see the protector, not the aggressor, not the blood-soaked warrior, but the protector. There's a great analogy of a lot of people trying to be manly, or most people, that people use toxic masculinity all the time, and there's whatever they're talking about isn't toxic masculinity. But if you want to talk really toxic masculinity, that's the wolf, right? That's the wolf preying on others, whether it's women or whatever, preying on other people. And so many people just see their only options as being either a sheep or a wolf. Real true masculine genius, real true masculinity is not being the sheep or the wolf, it's being the sheepdog. The sheepdog is there to protect the sheep from the wolf. And that's what Christopher Reeve embodies so well in his turn in the character. And that's who Superman is. When in that first movie, you saw Superman, or you saw Clark as a young man mourning his father, mourning Jonathan Kent's death at the funeral. He wasn't blubbering. I don't even think you saw tears, but you saw him. I mean, he was clearly, grieving and mourning and at least a weeping, a heave or something like that. Makes sense. You don't see him cry at all. You don't see him beaten up at all until the very end when the kryptonite's introduced. And then the stakes are raised. You're like, oh my gosh, this super powerful character who's been invincible to everything the whole movie, suddenly something's hurt him. Now those are high stakes. That's tension, right? When you've got his ass handed to him every other freaking scene, like Soy Man from James Gunn's movie, who even cares? Like, whoa, he's going to get his butt kicked again. Okay. I guess he's got to get his dog to save him, whatever. It's just dumb. You didn't see him cry until that one moment where he has that breakdown and finally shoots off into the sky when he realized that Lois died while he was trying to save everybody. He had made a promise to Miss Tessmacher. And that's all part of his wonderful character too, keeping his word and so forth. And then he goes on to that wonderful decision. Is he going to turn back time? And so many people who don't understand the movie, they're like, it was so cheesy and dumb when he turn around the earth and turn back. These people are idiots. They don't understand the symbolism. Now, maybe you don't like it. Maybe you don't like what happened in that part of the movie. Good for you, whatever. but that doesn't make it cheesy at all. It's a very powerful, loaded moment. It's the story's been building up to it. When he decides he is going to interfere with history because he's here, he can't just be a cold, because right, the Krypton was all cold ice crystals. His Fortress of Solitude is in the Arctic. There, it's that cold, removed observer. That's not who he is. Superman decides at the end, I'm going to be here. I'm going to help others. I'm going to intercede. And Jor-El's been okay with that to a point anyway, but then he has to make the final decision to do it in the end there. Again, it's not a conflict. There's no conflict between his Kryptonian heritage and his Earth upbringing. That's nonsense. That's only ever been brought up is in the most ridiculous ways. It's Hollywood's attack on fatherhood and masculinity. And people, oh, you're being a conspiracy theorist. Am I? Look at the mud they've driven through Thomas Wayne through. The bull crap Telltale Batman game, having Thomas Wayne be a mafia man or whatever. Even the Pattinson Batman, they had to play with that idea a little bit too. Oh, but no, he really wasn't. But no, he was just kind of scared for his wife. I don't care. Thomas Wayne, just like Jonathan Kent, and just like Jor-El, these are aspirational figures. It's supposed to be the father, as so the father lives as the son lives as the father. I forget the exact quote. The son becomes the father becomes the son. This is all part of the foundation of the mythology for decades. I mean, think about it. We're coming up on the 100th year anniversary of Superman's creation, not too terribly long in the future. And shortly after that, Batman's 100th year, and you look at their last 100 years of the character. Yes, I've said this before. Yes, it's true. When the character was first created, some little things changed. He suddenly began to fly instead of just leaping tall buildings in a single bound. The addition of the Kents came into the thing and stuff. That's the character finding its footing in culture. That's the society. That's the public saying, this is what we like about what you're doing. This is what we want you to change slightly. This naturally, organically happens anytime a new story, anytime a new piece of fiction, if it's going to become cultural mythology, it goes through a little mini phase like that. Superman did it, Batman did it, it's common. But once the characters solidify into what culture wants them to be, Superman remained remarkably the same for decades. It's not until 2011 when Dan DiDio finally got his way and got to muddy up and dirty up the DC universe with the New 52 and finally make it like the much cooler Marvel he had grown up with. And he was always embarrassed of DC because it wasn't cool and gritty like Marvel. The man had issues. Yeah, he's finally gone. It was far too little, far too late. Nothing can save DC Comics now. But that was the first, and that was not an organic change. That was not the public saying, we're kind of bored with Superman. We want him to be a little more gritty. We want him to be darker. No, that was an executive order. That was coming from the top, a heavy-handed decision. Then you had Warner Brothers. Let me just talk to Warner Brothers for a second. Okay, you'll never stop making these movies. You will try to squeeze every little possible cent you can out of it for the next 10 years until it becomes public domain and we can finally start telling our real, true blue actual stories of Superman. But you need to stop. Warner Brothers, you don't understand any of the DC characters. Anything good that's ever happened in a film or even a TV series from Warner Brothers has been a happy accident that just landed in your lap. It has not been because of you. You have got a decade-long record of just having your head so far up your anus about these characters. You could not fathom why people like them or what's great about them to save your soulless little life. You just can't. I'm talking to you, Zaslav. I'm talking to all of the execs who've been there throughout the decades, who've made decisions on these characters. It's laughable. It's laughable. Disney's evil. Okay, Disney is actively trying to destroy culture. Disney is actively trying to subvert and tear down and preach an ideology. Warner Brothers is just like the idiot cousin over in the corner with the dunce hat on. Everything you do, it's like, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? I've outlined your stupid decisions before. Superman 78 happened. It was great. That's more the Salkinds and Donner than it was anybody at Warner Brothers. Okay, the Superman movies go a little awry with Salkinds, Donner, and all that kind of stuff happens, whatever. What's the next thing that Warner Brothers decides to do with Superman? Well, Tim Burton did a popular Batman movie. Let's have him do a Superman, right? Because Batman, Superman, same thing. If you do a good Batman story, you can do a good Superman story. This is how the idiots at Warner Brothers executive office think. Luckily, that didn't even come to fruition. It was such a poorly conceived idea. Then the next time they run around to it, they say, well, what about that Bryan Singer guy who did X-Men? Yeah, X-Men, if you do a good X-Men movie, it follows you could do a good Superman movie, right? They're all those superhero people anyway. It's all fine. How did that work out for you? Superman Returns, I'll maintain that it is a wonderful movie, but it's a horrible Superman movie. As great as Brandon Routh is in the role, it's a horrible Superman movie. Those kinds of things should not be done with Superman. So what's next for Warner Brothers? Oh, well, that was really divisive and that didn't work. Well, Christopher Nolan, he made some popular Batman movies. Let's get him to direct. Oh, he doesn't want to direct the new Superman movie? Well, we'll have him produce, and tell you what, we'll get the guy who did Watchmen. Yeah, the guy who directed the movie, the most infamous deconstruction about everything beloved in superhero worlds ever. Let's get the guy who did that movie. He should do Superman. And you've got this crap show, this Man of Steel, which is an complete and utter character assassination about everything good about the character. Warner Brothers, in their great wisdom and great understanding of the property, they just double down on this and push it. Doesn't matter that people didn't like it. We're pushing through. We're going to do Batman v Superman. Oh, that was really divisive too. Doesn't matter. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going with the universe. The DCEU, as it's just called now, is just such a laughable mishmash of half starts and maybe sort of soft reboots, but not really. It's garbage. It was a horrible take. So what did they learn from that? Well, let's get James Gunn, the guy who did Brightburn. Yeah, the guy who produced Brightburn about what if Superman was an evil villain and it was a horror movie. Yeah, and he also did the movie about the Suicide Squad, The Villains. Let's get that guy to do Superman. I don't know what you're smoking in that Warner Brothers executive room, but the brain cells, I can count your brain cells on one hand. You are all idiots. And I'm being charitable by calling you idiots, because the fact of the matter is you're probably just pretty evil too, and you don't care about these characters. And if they get trashed through the mud, and if society loses their great cultural icons, you don't care as long as you can squeeze out as many pennies as you can until you lose the exclusive rights. And that's coming. That's coming in all of you who are listening, who are writers, artists, animators, whatever. You've got a little less than 10 years, and that might seem like a long time. It's not as long as you think. Start working on some true blue Superman movies. Now, do the research. What's going to come into the public domain technically is going to be the first iteration of Superman. So the most golden age. He's not going to be able to fly. He has to leap tall buildings, single bound. I don't think you'll be able to use the Kents, because that wasn't where in the original beginning. So do the research and make sure that you're not, I know that's what I'm doing. I'm already thinking about and working on my own, because that's the only way we're going to get real true blue Superman stories. The Warner Brothers can't give it to us. They're completely incapable. Doesn't matter who they let go, who they bring in. I don't know. Somebody cursed The Office at some point, and they're completely unable to pry their heads out of their butts when it comes to the DC characters. They have no clue who they are. All they can do is bring in some idiot auteur director who wants to give his version of the character. Let me have my take on the character, It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Let me take a break here and got a lot of super chats while I was ranting. Play back there. Let me see if I can do this fan funding here and go back to the beginning and get some of these super chats, and then I'll keep going. Believe me, I got more to say. Don't worry. Studio Super for $9.99. Thank you so much. You said, and looking at the plot and the reading spoilers, let me see if I can find this. I'm looking now on the YouTube. Let me see if I can find it on Streamyard there, because then I can put it up. I think I can. Just give me a second here. Might just take me a second of scrolling. Yeah, there we go. Let me make sure that was the first super chat, though. I believe it was. Okay. So if I missed your super chat, you can let me know. But let me just get out of that other window. So Studio Super said, looking at the plot and reading spoilers, I'm seeing all the things the character does from the trailers and the clips, seeing how he talks like a teen rather than a man. Superman is back. Size. I'm going to talk about that. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. John Gonzalez says, go conquer Earth and spread your seed. What did Gunn mean by this? Yeah, like, how are people, and Gunn just brushes that off. Well, no, I needed him to, really emphasize how much he's human, and really wanted to be a human. So that needed to be in there. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. That's just you deciding you could willy-nilly change anything about the character you thought you needed to so that you could find your in to the character. James Gunn hates Superman, okay? He does not like this character. He had to make a version of the character that he could actually be interested in. It's not Superman. And yeah, you're totally right. So I agree with you. Studio Super says, if I was directing a Superman movie, I would have enhanced the Moses archetype by having Brainiac be responsible for Krypton's destruction. Sort of kind of like, not exactly like, but similar to like the animated series, right? Where Brainiac was like the AI that let them be destroyed because he didn't want to be distracted from saving himself. Yeah. Rescued from Pharaoh, so to speak. That way years later, and you've got a second part to your comment here. When he gets to rescue the bottle city of Kandor, he'll have the let my people go moment. Cool idea. Very cool. Very cool. Dr. Wise Designs, thank you for the super chat. He said, James Gunn already did the Superman sent as a conqueror shtick in his horror knockoff Brightburn. Exactly. How are people pretending that this is no big deal? People who see this movie and are trying to pretend that great guy Superman's back. Get these people away from me. They are so addicted to new content. And I've had conversations with people when I was talking and pulling out, showing the problems of this movie. And people are like, it just feels good to hope again. Okay. I need to see positive. And this is not a logical thinking person. This is somebody with some kind of trauma or whatever. And they need to go to a therapist, not to a movie theater. Right. It was like the people who were like turning on me because I would not get on board with The Mandalorian. Look, we need this right now. No, you need a therapist right now. It's what you need. Ridiculous. Studio Super again said, I noticed this ongoing trend of stripping any authority from Superman. The kind of man a feminist would want. Takes on all the responsibilities and has none of the authority. Basically slavery. Oh, you're so right. I did not just put Soy Man instead of Superman in that thumbnail as just sort of a haha joke. They are completely taking out his masculinity left and right. I'm going to talk more about that in a second. Michael Scimbati, channel member, talking about Prof and Joker. I might save that for later because I'm not really talking about that right now. I'll come back and get some of these later. Studio 96 film, Dan DiDio cried about the woke crap in comics, but he contributed to that. Yeah, Dan DiDio, you mean like lately? Yeah, he left shamefaced. Rightly so, but he left far too late. His butt should have been kicked out far earlier than that. And he every now and then he's tried to come back because DC Comics has continued to spiral into just nonsense woke garbage. And he's coming back now going, yeah, well, I mean, I never would have done that. He's trying to be like some sort of guru that people give a crap about. Dan DiDio, you left your mark. You took a piss all over all of these characters and everything that we loved about it. Don't pretend that we're going to forget about that. Definitely. Eldritch fan talking about Star Wars. I'll get to that later. Sound Engraver. Superman, Clark Kent is the American who loves the world. His villains are those who aim to dominate or destroy the world. Exactly. Insert American flag here. Yeah, you cannot separate Superman from truth, justice, and the American way. All right. At the most, you can simply not say that line. But the character's still going to stand up for those things. The character's still in America. He's still going to stand for the American way. The first time that I can remember in any kind of major media seeing that was in Superman Returns, when Perry White is saying, does he still stand for truth, justice, all that stuff? Well, all that stuff, screw you. Say it, the American way. But this is Warner Brothers just terrified. Oh, we can't do that. He's a character that runs around in red and blue and with an American flag. Oh, no, we can't do that. Why? And James Gunn with all of his garbage arguments about, well, I just thought he should stand for the human way. Screw your human way. It's the American way. That's important. That's not Superman standing up for this administration or that administration or this party or that party. It's Superman standing up for the ideals, the American dream, the ideals we were built on. These are things that should matter. These are things that any American should believe in, knowing that the country has fallen short of it many, many times. It's not about, trying to be patriotic versus, pro-Israel or pro-Iran or any ridiculous. Okay. You're missing the point completely missing the point. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Oh, thank you, Eldritch Man. Another $20 super chat. I'll get to yours later though, because I think you're still talking about some Star Wars stuff. Crystal Ashes, I think, was the next one. Let me know if I missed anybody. And I'll come back to Michael Scombati's and Eldridge fans at the end. Feels good to hope again. What on earth is hopeful about this garbage film? Exactly. Just watch Superman 78 or any of the good animated films. Yeah, I'll never understand. What is this nonsense idea that I haven't been able to hope? I haven't been able to hope, but now I can hope again. I have watched Superman 78 so many times. In fact, I'm going to watch, I still have not seen this, but the Superman Redeemed. This is a fan edit. You can download it online for free. But they took Superman 3 and 4, which we all know had a lot of issues, but there's a lot of good stuff in it too. And some fans edited them together as one movie, try and make like a thorough narrative. I haven't watched it yet, so I don't know if it's good or not, but everybody's been telling me it's really quite good. So I'll tell you about that in a bit. Later. Sonny Graver says, I bet the human way speaks for today's machines. Yeah. Yeah, right. The AI way. Yeah, it's just dumb. Let's talk about this. The many ways that they've emasculated Superman here. Okay. And again, forget about this false dichotomy of, he's saying bad things about James Gunn Superman, so he must be on the side of Zack Snyder Superman. Are you kidding me? Do you know me? Have you been here at all for any length of time? James Gunn didn't have a masculine Superman at all. James Gunn also had a very wussy Superman. That whole bit about the trucker's mean to me, so instead of standing up to him like a man, whether he uses his powers or not, he's going to go outside and pitch a little hissy fit and wrap his whole tractor and trailer around a tree. Screw that guy's livelihood. I know he's a bully and he deserved to be stand up against, but no, you don't do that. These are not manly things. Manly things are, a man would handle that in person, face to face, would accept the conflict and resolve the issue. Again, remember sheepdog, not wolf and not sheep, sheepdog. We're going to stand their ground. We're going to stand up for these boundaries. This Superman cries at every step of the way he can. He goes off on Lois. The very first time him and Lois are talking, having their little like mock interview, he gets all emotional. He's like, people are dying. I had to go down. Screw you. How does anybody take this guy seriously? I do not understand it. To heck with you. No. And then he gets beat up every way of the turn. He has to be saved. In so many predicaments, he has to be saved. What is super about this Superman? Yeah, but he saved people. He saved people and he believes in saving people. That's not enough. That's not enough. Okay. There are a bunch of great characters out there who do that. Why should I accept this character who saves people and thinks people why should I accept him as Superman? If you think that's all you need, and that's like people are so starved for new content. So those who are starved for new content, who've got some semblance of logic and common sense, who at least know to turn away from somebody like Zack Snyder's Superman, who doesn't give a crap about saving anybody. They've got, as long as you just give us this much, then we can go see the movies again. Then we can go and, oh, yay, everything's fine now. We're back to normal. The movie ends. I mean, some of you who haven't seen it, maybe you don't know about this, but Supergirl shows up at the end, obviously, right? She shows up drunk because this is who Supergirl is. Like, what movies are comic? You've been reading the new modern comics, right? But not the real deal Supergirl, not the true iconic Supergirl. She shows up drunk, and Superman says, oh, yeah, she likes to go to the planets with red suns so that she can get inebriated, She shows up drunk. She takes away Krypto because apparently he's her dog now, not his. Stupid thing from Stupid Comics 2. And as she's walking away, she's like, later, bitch. Calls Superman that and walks away. Yeah, take your children to this, guys. Take your children to this. This is how heroes act. This is how heroes treat each other. I don't care. But then the Supergirl movie is going to be about her finding responsibility and taking. I don't care. These characters are above that crap. To say nothing of all the little James Gunn isms and all of the little, Marvel-esque banter and all of the crap that he's tried to push into this movie. And it would have been a whole lot more, but Warner Brothers tried to scale back on it because they got scared. They tried to scale back as much as they could until the end. This is a very political movie. Warner Brothers tried to scale back on that too, but it's there. People who are trying to pretend that it's no big deal are acknowledging that it's there and going, but it's not a big deal. It's not in your face. Again, how does this make a movie? It's not that woke. It's not woke. That's all you need to watch a movie, is that it's not woke. This movie is woke, but that it's not that woke or whatever. everybody with a brain can see what this movie is and knows what it sees it for what it's for. The I'm blanking on his name right now, but the actor who played Non, I just saw an article released earlier. I haven't read the article yet, but he's what did the headline say? Let me find it here because I posted it, but I haven't seen it yet. I just posted it, so I can come back later. Original Superman star Jack O'Laharan. I can never know if I'm pronouncing his last name right, but the guy who played Non called for the franchise to help revive the all-American way, differing from new Superman director James Gunn's immigrant focused interpretation. Yeah, it's truth, justice, and the American way. Stop trying to play politics. Stop trying to, and see, James Gunn knew what he was doing. He wrote this movie. They basically shot this movie long before Trump won the election. Trump won the election. There's this massive wave of anti-wokeness going on. You better believe somebody at Warner Brothers and James Gunn himself probably had an oh crap moment, and they tried to dial back what they could, and they're trying to just kind of float it under the surface for you there. So it's not really on the nose, guys. It's not so much. Stop giving your money to people who hate you. The whole bit about, Lex Luthor, he had a bunch of monkeys from another dimension write mean social media posts against Superman. See what I did there? That's like all the people on YouTube. I mean, there's no difference between that and the bullcrap that the She-Hulk film our series on Disney Plus tried to pull, like having the YouTubers, go against her, but she's so much stronger and she shall overcome them. Why? Why are you bothering giving this movie your money, your attention? I don't care if and I'm hearing this too. Yeah, I'll probably have to rent that one. I'm not going to see that. Why are you going to watch it at all? Why? There's no reason to put this filth in your soul unless you don't care about the character of Superman, okay? And just be honest about that. Admit it. I'll at least respect you. I don't agree with you in any way or another, but I've met people who say, well, people who say they like the Zack Snyder Superman. They don't like all of the cheesy, apple pie American Superman. They like the darker, grittier take, okay? I don't want to be around that person, but I can at least respect their integrity. They're being honest about it, right? The Snyder Bros who try and say, Zack Snyder's Superman is exactly the Superman from the comics. These are people who are just liars, and they're deluded or lying to you, because that's just blatantly not true. It's just 2 and 2 makes 4, not 3, stop it. So, but, just admit it. Admit that you don't like Superman very much. And if you don't like Superman very much and you go to see this movie and you're like, wasn't great, but, I kind of like this, and that. All right, again, you don't understand the importance of this character in our culture, but whatever. At least you're being honest, But people aren't being honest. People are just. I think ultimately it is going to die out. I think the whole movie theater, movies released in the theaters, this whole industry model is eventually going to die up. I don't think movie theaters are going to die out altogether. I think they're going to end up being more of like a boutique kind of thing, kind of like we don't have mass marketed DVDs anymore. There are boutique places that make DVDs, and special little collector's editions. I think that's what it's going to end up being like going to the theaters. But people are probably sensing that, and they're just freaking out, and they're trying to hold on to it as much as possible. Let the theater system burn. I've said that for a long time. Not because I've hated going to the theater. I used to love it, but I stopped going a long time ago because you've got these rude idiots around you. Like, it's not a fun movie watching experience at all. So I don't know. Got a few more super chats here. Let me check in with. Let's see. John Gonzalez. $2 says praise of this film feels unreal and not organic. But then again, audiences are vacant and more accepting of propaganda. It's true. It's fun to watch Snyder Bros and Gun Boys tear each other apart. Yeah, you got to resist this dichotomy. I've had people, because when I started making videos about all the stupid nonsense that James Gunn was saying about this movie, you get the Snyder Bros. They've always loved to bully, but the James Gunn Bros are pretty much doing it too. I get those comments, just go back and love your boy Zack Snyder or whatever. Just like the assumption that you're talking bad about this movie, therefore you must be a Zack Snyder fan. No, I think they're both crap, and I think people should just start getting the character right. How's that? The Imaginative Hobbyist. I have a big issue I have with this DCU is that Superman is a new kid on the block hero. Sorry, that's not how it should be. Yeah, you're right. He's not the new hero in town. He's not somebody who popped up while all of the other heroes. Now, if you are going to do that, then you need to do it with the Justice Society already in place. Now, I don't even really like that, but that's been done in the comic books in days before, occasionally here and there. James Gunn is trying to cherry pick from all these different eras. He got this from the Silver Age. Isn't that great? No, because he didn't do it right, you know? And so maybe somebody might say, well, it's after like the post-crisis reboot, because Superman wasn't part of the Justice League. Stop it. Superman he should be the first superhero. That's the best way to do it. But if you are going to do some like superheroes already established, it needs to be like the Justice Society or something like that. Not the freaking, precursor to the Justice League running around. Dr. Wise Designs. So I'll take Bruce Timm's DCAU and Lois and Clark over any brand of this junk. Yeah, exactly. I got some of the great over there, classic Superman stuff behind me that I've been going through. Like I said, I'm watching the Superman Redeemed, the fan edit of those movies. Sound Engraver and I have started. We'd watched the first 3 seasons of Batman the Animated Series a while ago. Last Sunday we just watched. I showed her the Last Son of Krypton, the opening movie for the Superman animated series. And we'll go through all of those. I'll show her everything. We'll skip Batman Beyond, though. I just think Batman Beyond, as cool of a concept as it is, and as cool as some of the things there are in it, I think it kills. That's Bruce Timm getting a little bit more power over the story and starting to bring some of his dumb ideas into it. He was kind of held in check by the producers and Dini and other people for most of it. But yeah, I kind of draw the line in terms of like open arms to all the continuity. I draw the line at Batman Beyond. Although it did have cool stuff in it. I don't hate the concept of it. but yeah, he started doing some really weird, dark crap with it. Studio Super says, and apparently Soups tortures a world leader with a cactus. I remember the rumor that the film opened up with Soups saying, I'm Superman, bitches. You might as well say it. It fit this film. I know. How are people saying that this is the hopeful, this is the positive, the real deal Superman? No. This is James Gunn's little soy boy take. Just because he didn't go Snyder Dark does not make this the hopeful, true blue, iconic Superman. I have no idea how anybody can say that with a straight face. It's ridiculous. Let's see. I think I got another one down here. A couple of them. Yeah, Sound Engraver. Get the character right. What logic? Exactly. Daniel's Loseball says it is sad and kind of funny that most Superman-like characters in the last few years is freaking Monsterverse. Oh yeah, Monsterverse versus King Kong. Yeah, that was very Superman-like. I think somebody was no, Nathaniel's Loseball, was it you? Or was it somebody else in the chat was asking me what what I could do about redeeming Godzilla in the movies. I'm not really the person to ask about that because I'm not a Godzilla fan, like a traditional Godzilla fan. I kind of like how it was handled in Legendary Verse. I know that like the true blue Godzilla fans wanted to be more of just the monster from before, and that's cool, but I don't know anything about that, so I can't speak to that. I'm just not those movies never appealed to me. The classic Godzilla movies, I have no problem with them. They were never my thing. So yeah, you probably have to ask somebody more knowledgeable about that than myself. Studio Super, the biggest issue with this and all the storytelling that deals with aspirational characters is the one idea that has seriously harmed storytelling, that all the characters must be relatable to be good. Yeah, it's that complete and foundational misunderstanding of the aspirational superhero. The aspirational hero is showing you the level to which you should aspire to. The cathartic motivational hero is the one that you relate to because you screw up and they screwed up, but they're going to get back up and try it again. So are you. And those characters are great, but we already have a ton of them. We have very few true blue aspirational heroes. And that's what the aspirational hero should be. They're not relatable. They don't need to get their butt kicked because we would get our butt kicked. They don't need to get angry and have little angry outbursts and emotional hissy fits because we would have angry emotional. No, he's freaking Superman. How could you do this to this character? It's unreal. Let's see. Studio Super says, and they gave this film to a man that said the only Batman he liked at all was George Clooney. Did he say that? I even missed that. Oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, Zack Snyder, when he was making Watchmen and Chris Nolan's Batman movies were doing well, they asked him, hey, would you ever like to do Batman? He's like, I'd only be interested in Batman if he like got prison raped or something. Like I like dark stuff. Like Zack Snyder literally said that, and they gave that man Superman. So it doesn't matter. I mean, hey, James Gunn, the pedophile pictures, all of his scandals on Twitter. Let's give that guy Superman. I mean, Warner Brothers, they're that clueless. They are truly that clueless. They don't know what they're doing. They will throw crap at the wall for as long as it takes to find something to possibly stick. It's absurd. All right, I think I caught up with the super chats there. I am feeling my energy start to lag a little bit, and we have 10 minutes. So let me go back and get some of these super chats that weren't really germane to our topic tonight while we're wrapping up here, just so I can say that I got them and won't be missing anybody. Eldritch fan said, just re-listen to Dawn of the Jedi, Into the Void. Good book. I like that. Some people didn't. I don't know why, but I like that. So do you think Dalian was listening to the same dark that Black Hole served, following Lannery's? I don't. It's an interesting comparison, and I do think there's something to it, and I think it's a fun comparison to do, and I think it's useful and everything. But I don't think that because, let me finish your super chat here. Following Lannery's story also got me starting a new KOTOR playthrough. Let me finish your Lannery thing first then. Because Black Hole was a total nihilist. Dalian just wanted the absence of the Force. He wasn't a nihilist in that we shouldn't fight for anything, we shouldn't try to make anything of our own. Black Hole, like in the end when he's beaten, his thing is, oh, I see what I did wrong. I tried to create something. In order to create nothing, I tried to create something, and I shouldn't have done that. I should have just tried to create nothing, and so yeah, that's the difference between those two. You say I haven't created a new KOTOR playthrough. Light side, having so much fun messing with Karth and digging into his secrets and getting him to open up about his past. I see why women play these games. It's fun. Can you get more secrets out of him if you play Revan as a female? Because even as the male, which is I've always played him, you can still get his backstory and you can find out about his son and go to Korriban and all that with that. But yeah, it'd be interesting if you can get more out of him, or there's more of the story if you play it from a female's perspective. That's interesting. Elder Fan says, if you could have any Star Wars droid as your very own, which would it be and why? Would it be HK-47? No, I would not choose HK-47. I have a soft spot for 3PO. I really do. R2-D2 is incredibly useful, but I don't know what he's saying. You need a 3PO just around just to hear, or to know what R2-D2 is saying. I like 3PO. It's kind of the joke, the in-universe joke where everybody's like, oh, deal with old Goldenrod, does he ever shut up? I kind of like that type of character. Even the X-Wing books had M-Tray, who was a protocol droid who was repurposed to, work for different things. And I kind of liked him too. I mean, yeah, they chat, incessantly or whatever. And I have an autistic daughter who likes to script incessantly, so I can handle it. Michael Skimby, there it is. Tried to find your first highlighted comment there. You said, Prof, are Joker and Harley violence for violence sake? Are they big kids at heart, but we want to have fun, violent, and deadly pranks? Joker, that depends on the audience you're writing it for. I mean, if you're writing it for kids, obviously you need to write it, a little bit more prankishly. But yeah, they're violent. So you can lean too far into that with the Joker and try to make him a total psychopath. He's a genius. He is. There's one line you overhear the henchmen in one of the Arkham games. I forget which one. I think it's Arkham City. And this henchmen are talking like the Joker's so weird because one second he's all like, the Mad Hatter. And then the next second he's got this brilliant plan to bust this heist or whatever, and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. It depends on the audience. You had another one, Michael Skimbody, super chat. There you go. Prof, am I wrong for liking should be more than jaded Batman in his suit? T and BA. I'm really bad at acronyms. Joker from Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker flashback. I like the Batman Beyond suit. It's cool. When I play Batman Arkham City, I'll put the Batman Beyond suit on sometimes. I don't hate everything about the Batman Beyond. I don't like a jaded Batman. No, I don't like that myself. Hey, you like what you like. I'm just gonna talk about what I think is good and what I think's crap. But yeah, sorry, I'm really bad at acronyms. I'm terrible at that. So anytime somebody puts that, unless it's blatantly obvious, and even then sometimes I don't get it. In Fan Man and Big Al and I's chat, somebody will say something like, like, what are you talking about? And it ends up being something painfully obvious. Like I do know what Return of the Jedi is. Like I see that, or Batman the Animated Series, BTAS, like I know that obviously. But yeah. So winding down here, I have been I don't pay attention to this stuff. I'm doing it now because it's the weekend. And see, I had a lot of experience fighting for True Blue Iconic Superman. I mean, I was on there day one when Man of Steel came out, pointing out how this is not Superman, pointing out all the garbage with it. So yeah, now that this is coming out and people are like, oh, it's back, it's all fixed. I heard this nonsense. People are so starved for it. I remember when Joss Whedon's Justice League hit, and there were people who had previously been on my side with the whole Zack Snyder Superman. They're like, guys, we won. They fixed it. Look, that's the real iconic Superman there. Like, you can't just slap a smiley face sticker on him in the next movie and think that's fixed. It's the same continuity. It's the same crap character, and people are willing to just completely overlook all of these things because this Superman saved a couple people. It's dumb. Get a couple of super chats here before I move into my wrap up. Dr. Y for $10. Thank you so much. Said I recently watched a video going over propaganda films made in wartime Germany. It reminded me of what Hollywood's been doing lately. Yeah, with their they got to the point where they were very blatant about trying to program you into their ideology, into the woke ideology. I mean, Hollywood got so confident about it that they were just very blatant about it. Now they haven't stopped, but now they just realized, oh, we got to go a little more underground with it. Let's not be so blatant about it, but they're still doing the same thing. It's the exact same thing. They know that the sheeple will always come see whatever crap they put out. So they're going to use that platform as a way to subtly try to subvert and move you into the way of thinking that they want you to be. And every idiot's like, not me. I can't change my mind. I'm going to see it, but they're not going to affect me. Well, you're a blithering idiot then. If you think a story can't affect you, you're a blithering idiot. That's all I can tell you. Yeah, go wise up. Anyway. All right. Studio Super said they need to go back to the old DCAU movies where they were just adapting from the comics and only made minor tweaks to include non-readers. I missed that. Yeah, when the not every movie was perfect or anything, but when the DC started making the first animated films, they were great. I even really liked Superman Doomsday. Yeah, they changed a lot of things. They had to compress. It's such a big epic story. They had to compress it for that. But I'll take Superman Doomsday over their bullcrap Death of Superman that they did in the New 52 universe any day, because that was what a blasphemy. Let's finally do a multi-film true telling of the comic event. Well, let's fit it in our New 52 garbage continuity we're doing right now. Screw that. They dissected and crapped all over Batman Long Halloween. They made Batman Long Halloween the story of Batman learning to be a detective. Like James Gordon's trying to tell him, oh, son, you need to be a detective, not just a thug, a vigilante. I'm like, he knew that long before he became being Batman. Stop it. So yeah, they tanked it with those movies. I'm trying to think what was the first one that they really bombed it with. Whenever they just started the New 52 continuity, it was crap. Green Lantern First Flight, great. Trying to think of some of the other ones. I guess Flashpoint was the movie that they did. That was the New 52 one that they started. Of course, I love Wonder Woman 2011. I've had people try and say, it's not a good story. I'm like, I'm sorry that you're an idiot, but it's a wonderful story. It's a perfect telling of her character. That was great. 2009 was that Wonder Woman one. Magic Hobby says, hi, Perskeek. What are your thoughts on the Superman radio series of Bud Collyer? Classic. Wonderful. And Bud Collyer is the first one who gave us that radio series gave us a number of things. For the first time, it gave us the dichotomy between Clark and Superman that we know today, that Christopher Reeve did so well. And it did that because it was a radio show and all you had was your auditory input. So you had to hear, oh, hi, I'm Clark Kent. You had to hear it in a higher register, and then now I'm Superman. You had to hear the change so you would know when he was Clark and when he was Superman. If you listen to a lot of radio serials, the main character will kind of narrate what they're doing, which sounds a little weird to us at times, but they needed to do that, So up and away, that phrase came from the radio show, because how do you tell listeners that Clark has changed into Superman and now he's going to fly into the air? He's like, all right, quickly stash my clothes here behind the cabinet. Now up, and away, and he would act it out so that you knew as a listener, oh, he's flying now, and that was perfect. Yeah, Bud Collier, the radio series, was wonderful. You can find some of the recordings, even on Audible. I think Radio Classics, of course, has DVD or CD purchases or downloads or whatever you can get as well. But yeah, that's good stuff. Darth Enigma, $20. Thank you so much, $20. Today, guys, I'm at work, so I'll just leave this here. Have a great stream, Prof, and I'll see you guys next time. Well, thank you, Darth Enigma. Very much appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys for the super chats. I know that, Eldritch Fan, you gave some 20, and Studio Super, by the end of the time, you give way more than 20. So I appreciate all of you guys. I do. Studio Super, for the other super chat, you said 2 things with the immigration thing. Superman fights illegal aliens on the daily. Darkseid, Brainiac, Lobo, etc. Yeah, right. 2, with the whole twist with his parents kind of hurts Gunn's pro-immigration message. You're right. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about it. Yeah, you're right. But he doesn't think it through. He just tries to get a message through, and that's all. Oh yeah, so it's like, I don't know, maybe it's a thing because Eldritch Fan is saying that with the new X-Men stories that they're telling Xavier he needs to train the X-Men to fight. He should have known that. Yeah, Professor X knew that from the very beginning. That's part of, he knew that teaching these kids and choosing the ones to be the X-Men, he, of course, I mean, he doesn't need to be told that or convinced that from others. Yeah. All right. Well, I am over the hour limit. I am wiped. I am ready to not think about James Gunn's crap film. I'm ready to go play my freaking awesome P-Bass. Got the count over there staring at me, just wanting to be played. So I need to play, and I'm still looking. I'm still looking to get something musically going here by the fall, hopefully. So I'll let you guys know, give you guys the project or the progress of it, especially if I just find like a guitarist or a drummer to jam with it first. I'll let you guys know what's going on and play you some things and whatnot. And eventually when I get into something, I'll play you guys video of whatever we're doing. So it'd be cool. I got a lot of cool ideas. Maybe we'll talk about that some more next week, because I'm kind of fried at this point. But yeah. Oh, nice. Kineticon. Joel going there third. Sweet. Nice. Yeah, cons are so great. Well, they used to be a lot greater when you didn't have to worry about all these new iterations and crap showing up. but yeah, cons are great. All right. See you guys later. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the true blue hero stories you love. Thanks for watching.